And now to our first conversation. Definitely, this is a trending matter right now. State of the states, as the subnationals. Enugu State has been ranked as the most fiscally viable subnational government in Nigeria. State most likely to survive without federal allocations. That's according to BUDGIT'S State of States 2025 report. It's a remarkable milestone, especially in a time when most states depend heavily on FAAC disbursements. Today we speak with the Honorable Commissioner right there, that's in Enugu State. To be joining me via Zoom, Dr. Nathaniel Emeka Urama is Commissioner for Finance and Economic Development in Enugu State. I guess we're trying to hear it now from the horse's mouth at this point. Great to have you on the show, sir. Good morning.
Thank you so much.
And congratulations on this.
Listeners.
Yeah, congratulations on this ranking. I guess this is quite the feat at this point, being able to survive without, FAAC allocations. So the report names Enugu as the state most capable of surviving without FAAC allocations. What would you say are the major policies enacted by this government to actually get you to this stage?
All right, thank you, and good morning, Nigerians. Yeah, I think I will start by telling you that what happened in Enugu State is a planned something, is in accordance with our plan. In 2023, when this administration of His Excellency Minister Dr. Peter Ndubisimba assumed office, the first thing we did was to basically look at the revenue generating programs in Enugu State, because we are aware that the only thing that we can depend on entirely is that of the internally generated revenue, given that the federal allocation is entirely exogenous to the states. So we did a critical review of the states of IGR in Enugu State. Through that means, we're able to find out the loopholes, what is being done wrong, and those ones that are not being executed at all. So by that means, we're able to develop a strategy to ensure that we optimize our IGR without jeopardizing the business environment. So the first thing we identified was the loophole in the revenue collection. There were leakages, money being collected from the citizens, but it doesn't get to the government purse. So the first thing we did was to enact an e-transaction to stop collection of IGR via cashless. That actually boosted the IGR of Enugu State to a great length. Then when we resumed office, we're having only one payment gateway in Enugu State. And when the payment gateway is down, you find out that it will be difficult for people who are willing to pay their tax to be able to do that. So to avoid this problem, the second step and from having to the 6 we are currently having. Sorry,
I can hear you, but we lost you for a moment there with the internet freezing for a moment there. But by understanding some of these strategies, blocking leakages, so that means I guess the government was getting the correct revenue, at the time.
There's an internet issue. I don't know if it's from my side or from you.
Yeah, I'm sure it's from whichever side. But you can hear me now, right? Hello, Dr. Nathaniel, can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but can you hear me?
Can I go on?
Yes, you can. You can go on. You can go ahead.
Okay. All right. Okay. So what I said is that the second step we took was to expand the payment gateways. From the one payment gateway we had, we are now currently having 7 of them. This also enhanced the revenue collection in such a way that people are now free to use different payment gateways. And when one payment gateway is down, it doesn't obstruct the payment of taxes by individuals who are willing to do so by transacts, where every payment of IGR in Enugu State is now done by electronic means. No cash collection of any means and of any form. This is the second step we took. Next, we were able to sensitize the citizens, creating awareness of the taxes they're supposed to pay, the dividend they're going to obtain from paying the tax, and how they should pay the tax to ensure that whatever money they remit gets to the government purse. With this, we're able to also increase the IGR collection in Enugu State. Then we went ahead to activate new tax process that were not in existence. There was no new tax introduced, but we were able to activate the new ones. That also led us to entering into the informal sector, where taxes have not been collected before, and the fees that were collected end up on private purse. So we're able to use the e-payment platform to approach and enter the informal sector. And I must confess to you that being able to access the informal sector boosted the IGR collection in Enugu State to a great extent. We also knew that the efficiency of any tax system depends on the capability of the staff of the the state's internal generating revenue. So from the inception, we've been not relenting on boosting the capacity of the IGR staff. We'll be having frequent trainings, training upon trainings, to ensure that the steps that are involved in internally generated revenue collection in Enugu State are well equipped, both with the technology and the capacity to be able to collect the tax in a way that it will not jeopardize or negatively affect the business environment.
All right, so Dr. Rama, thank you so much for breaking that down for us. Expanding, payment gateways, making sure that if one payment gateway is down, another one is there for collection, which helped in expanding revenue collection. Then no cash collection. That's a very critical one, I guess, and using more of digital platforms. Quite interesting strategies, but was this part of a long-term fiscal reform plan, or were they just, recent interventions, responding to economic realities?
No, we also have a long-term reform plan to ensure that there is sustainability in what we're doing. I'm also telling you that as we're discussing, Enugu State is one of the first states to grant autonomy to the IGR, to the Enugu State Board of Internal Revenue. They are now autonomous. So that will grant them that liberty to be able to implement programs, to initiate programs, and implement it without being constrained by unnecessary bureaucracies. These are part of the long-term plan that are being implemented in Enugu State to ensure the sustainability of these moves we have made beyond even this administration. So whatever, all the programs we're doing, we're looking not only within the administration, but beyond the administration in such a way that we do it to ensure that it is sustainable. So this is one of the major steps we've taken. Okay, ensuring a long-term plan of these programs.
All right, so talk to me more now about how much you've grown, IGR over the past years as internally generated revenue, and I also want to know what sectors are contributing the most, to this performance in Enugu State.
Sorry, I didn't get you clearly.
Yes, I'm trying to understand the amount of IGR you've been able to raise, as a state, so far in the past few years, and what sectors are contributing the most, to your IGR in the state.
Okay, let me give you the history. By 2022, the total IGR collected in Enugu State was 26.8 billion. And the growth rate from 2021 to 2022 was just 0.3%. By 2023, we started halfway 2023. The IGR increased from 26 billion to 37.9 billion. That is a 40% increase. By 2024, the IGR increased to 180.5 billion naira. That is 381%. And that is actually what led to the position that the Enugu State took. Now, as I said and during my earlier speech, the bulk of this collection came from blocking the loopholes and also trying to make use of the informal sector to collect tax from the informal sector. Now, Enugu State is also building capital, infrastructure to ensure that Enugu State is business friendly. Because of this, you see that enterprises are coming into Enugu State, and that is actually boosting the revenue that we're collecting from the enterprises. So generally, the revenue boosts between 2023 and 2024 came from blocking the loopholes, ensuring that all the tax collected goes into the public purse, and also trying to enter the informal sector. So that is where the bulk of the growth in IGR between 2023 and 2024, which led to the position that the Enugu State had, came from.
Yeah, quite an interesting one. Blocking those leakages is definitely a tall order for some states now, because if you can look at the bottom five, that's the bottom five least viable states according to budget. We have the likes of Yobe State, Benue State, Jigawa State, Kogi, and Imo. These are the least capable of surviving independently of FAAC. So we see that many states struggle, with broadening their tax base, also, without overburdening the citizens, because increasing tax base sometimes doesn't really need, it doesn't have to be, increasing taxes. So how is Enugu achieving, higher revenue collection while keeping the business environment, friendly? That means we're not overburdening businesses with taxes.
Okay. I think the first thing we did, the business environment is wider than only tax collection. When you are collecting the tax and you're using the tax to improve the business environment, like if you listen to people that have visited Enugu State of recent, you see that security is enhanced, road infrastructure is built, electricity tariff is reduced in Enugu State. Recall also that Enugu was the first state to get autonomy in power generation. All these things are what combines together to ensure that, yes, there may be increase in taxation, not that Enugu State introduced any new tax law. We didn't do that. What we did was to try to enforce the existing tax law. But in addition to doing this, the people are seeing that the money being collected is utilized to make the business environment friendly. You have a convenient road, you have security, you have power supply at a very low rate, and the facilities are there, and that justifies why business are trooping into Enugu of recent. So the tax collection we are doing is in such a way that not only that we don't introduce new tax.
Yeah, I guess the internet again.
But also that the taxes collect environments.
Okay, Dr. Nathaniel, I lost you for a moment there. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Though it's cracking, but I can hear you.
Yeah, okay, fantastic. But I can hear you now. But just a quick one. Have there been reforms in your digital tax systems? Any incentives for compliance or partnerships with local businesses? To achieve balance when it comes to tax collection and compliance to tax payments.
Yes, we do have incentives for compliance. That is, even there are others that we're planning, and there are ones that are already effective. We have incentives for adherence to tax. Like what we did is that we have different ways of paying your tax. Those who want to pay it annually, those who want to pay quarterly, those who want to pay monthly. There are different incentives for people at different levels that do comply to tax without being enforced. And there are also penalties for people who wait to be enforced before they pay their tax. And the major thing that led to what we are doing is awareness creation and giving them a long notice. Like what we do in Enugu State is that your tax liability is communicated to you early enough, and you are given ample time to be able to do that payment. So if you do it within the time given, there is incentives created for you, which details I may not expose here, but so there's penalties for not paying the tax within the time given. So if you allow our tax enforcers to come to your establishment before you pay your tax, there is a penalty. But if you pay it within the stipulated time, there is incentives for them. So that is also part of the efforts we're making to improve tax collection in Enugu State.
Yeah, Dr. Nathaniel, I'm sure at some point you'll be able to tell us some of these other secrets that you're using to to achieve what you've achieved so far in the state. But let's talk about what would you say are the key non-oil or non-federal sectors Enugu is investing in to sustain this independence, for like the likes of agriculture, technology, real estate, or is it manufacturing? What are you investing in?
Sorry, it was cracking. I didn't get you very well.
Yeah, sorry again about that. So I'm trying to find out, what sectors, Enugu State is investing in to sustain this independence. Are you investing in agriculture, technology, and maybe real estate or manufacturing?
What is going on in Enugu State currently is tremendous. His Excellency Governor Peter Ndubuisimba did not leave any sector. I must tell you that there is a priority, but our investment, though we have priority for education because we are talking of sustainability. Education, health sector is a priority, but agriculture is also the area we are embarking on. Tourism is also the area. So what the infrastructural development and investment we're doing in Enugu State costs across all the sector. But to answer your question directly, the priority ranks from education, because we know that education is the key to any sustainable development. Then health sector, health is wealth in accordance with the formal language. Then we have the agriculture, we have the tourism industry, we have the sports, even the gaming commission. We are expanding our investment across all the sector. And I'm telling you that even other states are sending their IGR team to Enugu State for us to enlighten them on how we're able to achieve the feats that we have achieved. So it cuts across all the sectors, but what we are doing mostly is to build the background that will attract private investors into Enugu State to ensure sustainable investment and also a greater economic growth.
And are there upcoming projects or private sector collaborations that we should be looking forward to?
Yes, there are. Because as I told you, what we're working based on plan. We started by saying, first, let's create the environment that can be conducive for private sectors to come in. The next step we're taking now is to collaborate with the private sectors, because most of this program we're doing, like if you look at Enugu now, we're having Enugu A. That Enugu A is not being run by Enugu States. We are collaborating with the private sector under what we call the PPP. The same thing is happening to the agriculture. We buy the agricultural equipments, but we collaborate with the private sectors to ensure that there is efficiency in the management, because we know that public sector managing those investments may not lead to efficiency and sustainability. So most of all the programs we're doing involve the private sector under what we call the private partnership agreements. I don't know if this gets answer to your question clearly.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I did fly Enugu Air recently, and I'm curious. I'm sure you guys are making a lot of money from that segment.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. But you should also know that there is time for investment and there is time for reaping. What we are doing now is that we are investing. We are sure that the time for reaping is coming, when all these are going to reflect into increased IGR. To be honest with you, the plan of His Excellency Dr. Peter Ndubisimba is to ensure that Enugu State can not only sustain their recurrent expenditure, but even capital expenditure without going to Abuja.
Fantastic.
That is the plan.
All right.
By the time all our investment now ripe up now, by the time we start reaping from all this investment, both in education, both in health, in agriculture, in tourism, and everywhere, you will see that this, though a bogus plan, is realistic.
Fantastic, and definitely we'll keep our eyes on Enugu State to continue to watch how you manage to keep this up. Thank you so much. It was great having your perspective, Dr. Nathaniel Emeka Orama is the Commissioner for Finance and Economic Development, Enugu State. Thank you for giving us some of your secrets there on how you're able to get this ranking on the budget index there. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll find out what's playing out in the commodities market with oil and definitely the latest rate cut in the U.S. That's in a moment. Just stay with us.